Hey, it's Magnus here with a hugely long overdue update on the Project Zero knife. I have quite a significant update today. Your Project Zero knife, if you're waiting for it, is obviously not in your hand right now. So it's not made and it's not been shipped to you yet. Long story short, actually, too long story short, one, business has been extremely challenging and a whole load of projects have been pushed back, some being up to a year and a half late, i.e. the Project Zero knife. We made tie vaults, what else? There's another couple of knives, magnetron, fliptility, pill pots, just loads of stuff pushed back, and Project Zero is one of them, unfortunately, so my apologies. There's only so much apologizing I can do before it just gets too much and it goes, but anyway, I'm rambling, I'll get on with it. The other thing was, I made a lot of progress on Project Zero last year, spent quite a bit of time on it, middle of last year. It's more challenging to make a high-end knife than I thought it would be before I initially did it. I'd done a little bit of prototyping, but I hadn't made a full knife. So over the last 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, I've spent maybe 150 hours, maybe 200 hours. Basically every spare minute has gone into Project Zero. And I basically just redesigned it from the ground up. There was things that I wasn't happy with, and I'll sort of go through that now. So I've got a list somewhere of things to talk about. I'm going to show you different parts of the knife, that kind of thing. So the first thing is the insert. So this was the original lock bar insert that I did. So just a traditional looking one there, detent ball with screws on the outside. Now I wanted to get rid of as many screws on the outside. That's part of the ground up redesign. I really wanted to try and make this as sleek and minimalist as I could get it looking. So if I put that aside, this is the new lock bar. In fact, yep, there we go. So here we go. There's the new lock bar insert. A little bit dirty, I've done tons of testing with it, but that's it there. The other one was quite deep, if you look at that. And I figured out there was no need for it to be that deep. It's only the edge that catches. So this one has been simplified and it's a lot shallower. And so yeah, it's come out really well, and of course the difference here is that compared to this one, the screws on the new one here are on the inside, so that means nice minimalist look to it there. Ignore those lines there, I just never sanded it properly. This is just a prototype. So the other thing, of course, well, this was from the beginning, was the screws on the pocket clip. They were always going to be on the inside, so they are on the inside. The other thing I did was no screws at all on the left hand scale. So while I'm on the screws, there was one thing I was going to show you here. What was it? Yes, this is one where I took it too far, shall I say, in the minimalist department. And what I managed to do was, I actually managed to get no screws on the right hand scale. So there was no screws, apart from the pivot, there was no screws at all on there. But that's not going to happen, unfortunately. I am going to put a screw right there. So one at the back on the right hand scale. Now the reason for that is not that I can't do it, not that I can have it screwless. It was functionality. Now this knife is, I'm never gonna design a knife just to sort of sit on a shelf and not be used. I mean, a lot of people do that with my stuff, but to each their own. But everything I make is practical and to be used, and to be used a lot. So yeah, including this knife. So the problem was that it became impractical to assemble and disassemble the knife. So you had to sort of get a screw coming out here, and then you'd put this on and you'd start turning this scale round like that, and then eventually it would tighten up like that, and you'd assemble it. I banged my head against the wall for a couple of days trying to figure out a way where it wasn't impractical and risked snapping the screw, which I did. I snapped the screw even though I was being careful. Did it, detached it and unattached it, screwed it together and unscrewed it a few times, and I ended up snapping the screw. And I'm like, wow, if I'm being careful, you know, general daily use, it's not good. So one screw on the outside at the back, it's a compromise of sorts. It's giving practicality, giving way to practicality. That's and functionality. That's really what it is. Now, big development, or semi-big, entirely good in terms of functionality, is making these. Now, excuse these, I've not tumbled these, but they've been heat treated and hardened. But I don't know what you call these. I call them bearing runners. So if this is the scale, rather than the bearings running on straight on the titanium, because titanium is maybe 34, 38 Rockwell, whereas a hardened steel blade, the way I do it is maybe 58, 59, might be a little bit higher. So the bearing runs well on here because it's hard ceramic bearing on hard steel. But I found, and I know a lot of people do this, and I did it initially, was I put the bearing straight on the titanium. I find it just doesn't go as freely. So I made these, what I call bearing runners. Not on the lathe either, made them on the mill actually. Surprised that worked so well. So they run in there, so that's hardened steel. And then after that, bearing, and then blade. So hard. Works very well. So that's another upgrade thing I do. It's a bit of a hassle to make these, but you've paid for it, you deserve it. I need to do it. This is a fun thing here. So well, I thought I would put so this Project Zero in there. There's some machining there that won't be there for the final one. That machining marks underneath, they won't be there, and these machining marks here won't be there. But this big squiggle, this is a fun thing I just wanted to do. I just couldn't shake this off. For such a clinical, kind of crisp looking knife, I just wanted the inside. I just wanted it to be just like this crazy squiggly mess, you know, kind of like might sound silly, but a sort of representation of kind of how we present ourselves to the world, you know. I mean, we always present our best self, and you know, we're cool, calm and collected, and on the inside, you know, we have issues, we have this, and and that's how societies work and function. You know, if everyone was putting themselves out there, I think the world might come to a grinding halt. But so this knife is kind of a representation of that, you know, like, so it's a clean and clinical on the outside, but you know, there's a bit of reality on the inside. Things aren't as neat and clean and crisp and ordered as we might want others to hope. So yeah, a little bit of an art thing in there, just for fun. Blade has been slightly updated. If you go back to the page, I'm not sure if you remember what it looks like, but the blade has had mainly the front bit, so not this, but mainly the front bit. This plunge line here is, I think this is quite vertical looking. I think that has changed in the final design. I'm not 100% sure. Sorry, I've got a whole bunch of different blades and designs and things here. I just had to tweak. Like I said, a couple of hundred hours over the last few weeks. So really finally cracking it now. The flipper tab has had a decent. So the blade, slight redesign on the blade. Just to match it with the scales, you know, like even though, you know, it's been a couple of years since, you know, we've had it on offer, and so a year and a half or something since it was meant to be delivered, but in that time my design skills have become better, so I've made a few tweaks here and there. Also, it's one thing, I might have shown this before, maybe not, but the pocket clip, actually, I don't think it had these bevels on here in the initial sort of product information page. So the pocket clip is sort of like a miniaturized, flipped around version of the main scale. So you've got this main bit here with some bevels, and then you've got the pocket clip also main bit here with some bevels. So it's kind of like a mini-me type thing. The flipper tab Dad's had a lot of redesigns. I would redesign it and redesign it. Just initially it wasn't, it was hard, it was, you know, and it changed the shape. I'm like, oh, that's not flipping very well. I think this is the latest one and it's working really, really well. So again, functionality above everything else. On the knife you have the lock bar face where the lock bar insert rubs against here. That has changed from a curve, like a sort of skateboard ramp curve, to a sort of 8-9% angle. 9 degree angle, not percent, 8 or 9 degree angle, because I found that works better. And oh, let's just assemble the knife and I'll show it to you. I think it still works. I've gone through a lot of variations and things, so we'll just do that now. Okay, so that's it together. A little bit of a close-up here. So there's a bunch of little flaws. Like, I mean, it's pretty beat up looking, because like I said, this is just one of a few prototypes and things I've got. Sort of final prototypes, but it's looking pretty crisp in there, around the edges, at the rear, that kind of thing. Like I said, there'll be a screw at the back right there. There's an overall look. It's of course it's just raw machined and sanded, so it's still at that stage. This blade is just a sort of temporary blade. I don't even know if it functions. It doesn't lock up. That's on purpose because I was just mucking around with the other parts of the blade. So but I think it flicks out. Here we go. Yeah. So it doesn't lock up because I wasn't testing that on this blade. So it's kind of, like I said, I think the blade might get a little extra tweak, but now it's got a funny little couple of little pingy sounds to it. This isn't exactly. I'll hold it up here so you can hear the sound here. That's not exactly how it's going to sound. There's a little clink there, and and it doesn't open properly. Like I said, it's not locking up because I've got the other blade in just now. But that should give you an idea. Fun little thing. I was working on it the other weekend when I had my son, so I should have been spending time with him, so to kind of cut it so I could keep working on it and sort of do a compromise with him. I said, look, you design a scale, you design a left-hand scale, put a pattern on it, whatever you want, and we'll make it on the mill. And that's what we did. So just for fun, this is just to sort of show you. Here's a scale that we did. My son Julian designed the pattern. We'll get a close-up of this. It's been tumbled as well. The tumbling doesn't get into the holes though, into the little pockets, unfortunately. But it came out pretty well. It's a little bit too busy for me, you know. Like it's not quite my kind of thing. But I mean, it's sort of symmetrical. It is symmetrical. You can see that when the pivot's in, there's sort of a symmetry around the center there. But oh, and he also designed a pattern on the inside as well. He wanted that, so that actually came out quite well. Nice and smooth. So geometric patterns in there. So I'm going to keep working on this Project Zero for you. It's pretty close. Like I don't have a timeline when I'm going to ship the first one, but I will start doing more frequent updates. I'll start putting some videos on YouTube just generally, and maybe of Project Zero as well. And yeah, again, if you have any comments or questions, just send an email. I will apologize again for the lateness of this. The upside is that the end knife, the final knife, is just so much better than what I initially had envisaged a while ago, and how sort of when I first offered it. So I don't know if it's going to be worth the wait. You'll just have to see when you receive it. But you know, we're catching up on the backlog. I'm spending a lot of time on this knife and some other knives, and just getting them all together and kind of making sure everything is working and the concept is right, the various concepts, bearing runners, lock bar inserts, things like that. So anyway, I'm rambling now. Apologies for the late update. It's an update. It's quite a decent update. in terms of length at least. And yeah, questions, comments, anything, fire an email and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much.